You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.
So now let's start with scenario number 6. Scenario number 6 is more of the same, but in this scenario, we'll be creating something known as a database availability group. A database availability group is there to just make sure that you have a fallback. So it is just going to create a failover cluster for us. So I'm going to start from my domain controller configuration here. So remember, these are all just plain machines. These are not in any way, shape, or form pre-configured machines. These are just plain Windows Server 2022 machines. So I'm going to use the IP address 172.16.10.10, 172.16.10.1, 172.16.10.10 is my preferred DNS. I'm going to promote the server to a domain controller. The process is relatively straightforward, as we all know here. Add roles and features, 3 nexts. Select Active Directory domain services, add features, 3 nexts, and install. Now, this is how we do the process every single time. Now, remember, as I mentioned earlier, we will just be using the name. This is all single forest still. This is all still a single forest, in a single domain. We are not moving to multi-domains or multi-forest configurations yet. So, one of the things that we are doing here is we'll be just creating 2 exchange servers, one third domain joined server to act as a witness, and we will obviously have 2 workstations to verify if the emails are being sent and received as normal. That will never change. Or if not 2, then we'll only use 1 workstation. The workstation is the least important part in this scenario here. So let me just promote the server to a domain controller. Add a new forest. So it's NetSoft Academy. .local. Now netsoftakademy.com, netsoftakademy.local, same thing, potato. Doesn't really make that big of a difference, so don't worry about it too much. Now I'm going to finish off this process here. Now once the NetBIOS name comes up, which is automatically generated obviously, once it comes up, then I'll just keep moving next until the end till I get to the installation part. And then I'll install this domain controller and it will restart. Once it restarts, then we'll move on with the next step, and that will be installing our first exchange server, Nita MBXS01. So let me install this and I'll wait for this to complete the installation, then I'll show you the next steps. So at this point, my domain controller has been installed. Let me quickly log in here. Once I'm logged in, I'll obviously double check my IP address to make sure that everything is working and everything can connect to this server. And after that, we'll then move on to the next part, and that is installing our first exchange server here. So we are not concerned about creating the users at the moment. We are more concerned with ensuring that our infrastructure is solidly set up, because the users can be created later on. Now you might see a small flickering. That is mostly because of the VMware tools loading up in the background. So don't worry too much about it. It might happen to you as well. Okay, so this is done. So now I move on to my next server. And let me quickly start this server. Now remember, this is just a server. It has nothing installed on it. It is not domain joined or anything. I'll first change the IP address, domain join it, and then we'll start with the Exchange server prerequisite installations. As you can see here. So I have domain joined my server here, the Nita MBXS01 server, to NetSoft, to the domain controller Nita ADDS01, And I'm now going to start with the Exchange Server prerequisite installation. Now, one of the things that I would recommend doing here is the fact that make sure that your IP addresses follow the sequence 172.16.10.10 for the domain controller, 10.20 for the first Exchange server, 10.30 for the second Exchange server, and then all the in that sequence. So now let me quickly log in. I'm going to log in as the administrator, enterprise administrator. Okay, make sure that you don't have any typos in your usernames, because those things carry forward and they create let's just say unforeseen issues later on. All right, so first things first, I'll just show you what exactly I did. You can see that this is my IP address and this is my domain. That's the only thing I did, nothing else. Now, I'm going to open PowerShell. And I'm going to run this command, install Windows feature. Now, I'm going to first run this command here. Now, while this command is installing all the necessary Windows features, I'll mount the Microsoft 365 Hybrid Deployments ISO onto this virtual machine. And I'll also start the prerequisite installation in the background. Now, remember, I always mention this, that I do not encourage doing this because of the potential problems. The only reason I'm doing this is because I would like to have a little bit of a easier time. I only have to restart once. I'm going to start all the installations here. Now, your next immediate question would be, hey, do we have to do this in this exact order? The answer is no. You don't have to. But it is a good idea to do them one at a time. Make sure that you're doing everything in a sequence so that you're not forgetting something. Now, in my case, I know what I'm doing, so I can just kind of use creative shortcuts around this. But I would not recommend it. Now, I'll show you why. This IIS URL 7.0 URL rewrite module, it will not get installed. And if it does not get installed, the reason behind that is mostly because of this one here. Because this installation is still going on. Unless and until the Windows features are all installed, we will not be able to install the IIS URL rewrite. So let me quickly run this again, and you can see again here. It says, oh, you must install this, you must install this. So now I'm going to restart the server here. You can see how chaotic it gets suddenly. So I'll just install Java for the moment, but I'll restart the computer and then I'll complete the last step in the prerequisite installation on the Exchange server. This is, remember, your Mailbox server, the first Mailbox server that we're going to install, the first Exchange server. So I'll wait for Java to complete installation, and once it does, I'm just going to restart this computer. Okay, so my server has restarted. I was just about to say workstation out of a habit, but this is a server, and we are going to be installing Exchange on it. So I'm just logging in as the enterprise admin again. Now, remember I mentioned that when we were trying to restart it, that I'll be able to install everything except for the IIS URL rewrite module. Now let's try to install the module here. Now remember, this is one of those times when I tell you what exactly are the problems of not following the instructions properly. You can see the installation worked right now, but I had to restart. So sometimes these kinds of things happen. So you want to ensure that these kinds of issues are addressed beforehand. Now, the last step in the prerequisite installation of Exchange Server, we go back to our ADDS01. And mount the Exchange Server 2019 CU14 ISO. Now, because I've been doing this for a while, I already know where my ISOs are. I know where to find it. In case you don't, you can just click on browse and you can find it. Now, it is on drive D. So I'll first navigate to my PowerShell, and I'm going to run 3 commands here. D colon dot slash setup dot exe slash prepare schema slash I accept exchange server terms diagnostic on. And you can see that I already have a typo here. Exchange server license terms. So that's the term here. Now, this is one of the reasons why I generally have the commands written down somewhere on a notepad or on a text file somewhere, and that is why I use it like that. So now if I go back here, see, I have these right here, so I don't have to worry about having a typo here and then embarrassing myself. See, this process works way more smoother. Now remember this, the reason why I'm showing you mm, all of these, let's just say goof ups, is so that you understand why I'm doing things in a certain way and why you should also try and follow the same way just to avoid any potential problem from occurring for yourself. So we'll wait for this command to complete, then we'll run the next command, and then we'll run the next command, and then we'll start with the Exchange server installation now. Now, the first command is done. Now we'll run the second command. Now, again, this is the reason why I have all the commands written down somewhere so that all properly organized and all properly optimized and formatted so that I don't have to worry about my commands not working on the very first go. And I would very strongly recommend that all of you do the same thing. Because every single time you have to install the Exchange server for the duration of this course, you will be doing this. And it is a safer idea to have it stored away somewhere where you can just quickly withdraw it and just copy and paste it and work with it. Now, I also know about a few other things that a few of us try to skip on. And the first thing among that is we all tend to skip on installing the VMware tools and renaming the machines. Please, please, please take the additional 2 minutes that it takes to do that. It will make your life so much easier. There is no point or there's no purpose of being a little lazy. I understand the feeling, but there is no point of being a little lazy and trying to avoid that important piece of work which could make your life easier down the line just because you don't want to spend that time right there. Now, keep that in mind. And you can see that my second command is also done. So now let's run the third command. Okay, let's copy this. Go back here, paste. Now we'll wait for this command to complete running. And once it is done, we'll move back to our Nita MBXS01. And from there, we will start installing the Exchange server. So we'll just wait for it to complete. Now you can see that my third command is also done. So I'm now going to go back to Nita MBXS01 and mount the Exchange Server 2019 CU14 ISO on this one. Now remember, we are just going to now start with the Exchange Server installation, and this takes time. So while it is happening, you might be tempted to kind of do other multitasking tasks, and you already realized why I'm against those things. So it's the same process as always. We're not changing the process, we're not reinventing the wheel. But it is a good idea to just stick to the basics first instead of complicating it for yourself. So now don't check for updates. Next. Now let me wait for the files to copy. And yes, a few of you might also have this issue wherein you might only see the bar or you might only see some graphical elements. All you would need to do is just do this, and you can see this here. This happens mostly because of just you changing the resolution or something along those lines. So if that happens, then you can just move it around and it would work. Okay. So these are all just practical tips and tricks that help you or make your life a little bit easier. It's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing earth shattering. So I'll wait for this to complete, and once this is done, then we'll just move along with the process as planned. Okay, so now my setup is here. Click on next, next, next. We select the mailbox role, next, next, and we are going to disable malware scanning, next. Now the prerequisites will be configured here. Now remember, if any of the prerequisites that we installed earlier did not properly take effect, we'll find out right now. Now this is one of those places where it is always a tense moment. Quite frankly, because we think in our overconfidence that we might have done something correct, but it is possible that we could have missed something. So always double check. There is no harm in double checking. So we'll wait for this installation to complete, and then we'll look at the next steps. So now at this point, my Nita MBX01 is configured properly. Now the only thing I'll do is I'll click on Exchange Management Shell. I'll wait for it to load up. And once it loads up, we'll be able to see what exactly is going on. If it is connecting, it is connected. What exactly is happening here? Now, one thing, remember to allocate enough resources so that you can get 2 Exchange servers running side by side without taxing your system. Let's do that. Remember to do that, actually. Now, you can see here, it is starting all the remote sessions and everything else. And that is one of the reasons why we installed the RPC modules and all those things. So we'll just quickly see if this will connect. And after this connects, we are not creating any users, we are not doing anything, we are not going to the ECP or anything yet. We will just start installing the second Exchange server right away. That is the idea now. We'll start installing the second Exchange server as soon as this connects. This is just to make sure that this is working properly here. You can see it is connected, get dash mailbox server. Yep. So this is good. So I'll just leave it as it is. Now I'll move on to Nita MBXS02. Okay, let me just quickly power on this machine. You can see that it is working. It will open. Now we'll repeat the same exact things that we did on Nita MBXS01 on Nita MBXS02 now. So the same process. First domain join, then log in as enterprise admin, install the prerequisites, run the commands. Now here, let us alternatively do something a little bit different here. So let me show you what I mean by a little bit different as we go over this process here. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ncpa.cpl first. Now, while the server manager is still booting up, I would like to get the things done a little bit quicker. Now, impatience is not a virtue when you're dealing with Exchange, and it will show up a little bit later. So the IP address is 172.16.10.30. The gateway is 172.16.10.1. Yeah, you can see right here, impatience does cause these kinds of issues. So we just need to make sure that we are not doing that. .30, 172.16.10.1, 172.16.10.10. Okay, good. Close all of this. Local server, work group, change, domain, NetSoft Academy .local, administrator, password 1350. Very good. Now we are going to restart this server. And as soon as it restarts, we'll start with the Exchange server prerequisite installations now. Now we'll wait for this to restart. It will take a second because it is now going through a lot of steps. So we'll just give it a second here. Okay, so now this has restarted. Let's quickly log in as the enterprise admin. Now, one thing I always mention is you need to double check your typos. You are typing in a little bit of a furious fury, you're in a hurry to get it done, but having typos is just going to frustrate you more than actually get any actual work done. All right, so first things first, PowerShell. Now, I'm doing the same process again because the prerequisites will have to be installed every single time. You cannot get past that. So let me zoom up a little bit. Now, again, remember that it's just that my VMware tools are loading up and I am too impatient to actually wait for it to completely load up. It's a different story here. It's not a systematic problem. It is more of a user error here. Now, while this is happening, I'm going to mount my Microsoft 365 Hybrid Deployments ISO, and I'm going to start prerequisite installation while this is also happening. Now, this time, however, I'll do it a little bit slower. I'll do it a little bit in a more controlled manner now. So I'm going to first start by running the JRE version 8 update 341 x64. I'll start that. I'll start with Microsoft C++, Visual C++ 2013. Because Java takes a little bit of time to load up and I would like to complete the installations as quickly as possible. I agree to license terms, install. Okay, good. Microsoft Unified Communications Managed API 4.0. Next. Read and accept the license terms. Next, install. I'll wait for it to complete the installation now. And you can see one very funny thing that despite me completing all of these two installations and starting Java before everything else, Java still hasn't shown up. Now, remember, there's one thing I can't do here, that is I can't run this IIS URL unless I'm sure that this is all working. Now, because it is showing up here, that means that all the necessary modules have been installed. So I'm just going to click on install for the IIS URL rewrite module 2 here, and it is done. And lastly, I'll install Java, which showed up while we were working with the IIS URL rewrite module. Now, that is how this entire process works. Now, that is how you can speed up the entire process. Do I recommend doing it every single time? No. Do I recommend doing it at this pace? No. Is it necessary or mandatory for you to do it at this pace? The answer is no. Could this have been done off screen? Yes. But I'm just showing you what are the potential pitfalls and how to avoid them. Remember that. I'm just showing you the potential pitfalls as well. That this could be an issue later on for you. We don't want it to be an issue. We want to avoid issues. Now, once this is done, I'll just restart the computer. Don't worry about the Java, just the installation completing. It's already done. You'll just get a confirmation that the installation is completed. So I'm just going to restart the computer here. Now, this is where I will deviate from the standard process by a little bit. And I'll show you why exactly this happens, or why exactly am I doing this. So once this virtual machine restarts and I'm logged in, I'll show you what exactly I meant by it. Okay, other user, academy /administrator, password 1350. Okay, so I will mount the Exchange Server 2019 CU14 ISO on this VM now. Now remember, until this point, we have not created a single user mailbox or we have not done anything else. I'm just running the setup. Now, if you notice one thing, while my VMware tools were loading up, they just ended up canceling my autoplay. So it's okay. I'll go to this PC right click, and if you notice, I don't even have the autoplay option anymore. That's not a problem again. Click on open, scroll all the way to the bottom till you see setup. Click on setup, run as administrator. You necessarily don't have to do it. Run as administrator because you're logged in as the enterprise admin. So it's counterintuitive here, but I just do it because it's a force of habit. Don't check for updates right now. Next. Now you can see that I did not run the prepare schema commands and everything because I already ran them once. It's all set for my entire domain and my entire forest. It is not a problem anymore. But I'm just going to show you why it is a good idea to run that once you are done with your first installation and you want to add a second one. Now, is it mandatory 100% all the time? The answer is no. Secondly, is it necessary? The answer is also no. Microsoft's official documentation itself says that you don't have to run it more than once. And in fact, they say you don't even have to run those commands. You could just start the installation and the installer would run the commands for you in the background. But the problem is that I would like my domain controller, it's the FISMO rules. Basically, that's how I look at it. It's the FISMO rules. Only my domain controller has the ability to extend the schema. If I don't run those commands on my domain controller, which has the ability to extend the schema, I will not be able to run it. So what would that mean then? I would have to make this Nita MBXS01 or Nita MBXS02 a domain controller. That's number one. Give it the FISMO role, and then I would have to I would have to then be able to extend the schema. And when I say about the FISMO role, I'm talking about the schema master role. So these are certain considerations that you think about. Now you can realize that these are all the same steps that we did the last time. But when you look at the number of steps that come after configuring prerequisites and everything, and you might see an error right here as well, in your case. Even I could see that error right here. That, hey, you did not run this. Maybe you should go back and run this again. It could pop up. There is a possibility that it could pop up. See, I have only warnings. So I can click on install. And I'm able to install my Exchange server. Now, I did not run the commands again. I did not. But in case you did not, you have to run the commands again, I would recommend run the commands again and then just make sure that your installation is working properly. Now, I'll wait for this installation to complete and then we'll look at the next step. That is creating our DAG. So at this point, my second Exchange server is also installed. I'll finish the setup. I'll go on start, go to Exchange Management Shell. And once the Exchange Management Shell loads up and it connects, we are just going to run the same command again, get dash mailbox server. We just want to verify that the installation worked perfectly. There's no issues. There's no anything else going on here. No hanky-panky stuff, to put it very politely. Yes, so I'll just wait for this. Now, while this is happening, while my second Exchange server is connecting and everything is working, I will simply go to my Nita MBXS03, my third server, third non-ADDS server. Remember, third non-ADDS server. And the idea here is very simple. I'll just be domain joining this machine, and that's it. Nothing, no installation on it, nothing. Its purpose is completely different. The purpose of this server is to be acting as a witness server for my database availability group or my DAG. So let me quickly get my admin server manager here, not admin center. Yes. Okay. So back here, I go to local server, Ethernet, right click, properties. I'm going to use the IP address. I'm going to use the IP address 172. Now, yes, when the VMware tools kick in and sometimes the display just flickers, you just realize that this is not going to work like this. 172.16.10.40, 172.16.10.1, 172.16.10.10. Okay, this is good. Next, I'm just going to domain join this server. And once this server restarts after the domain join, which it will right now, I'm going to restart the server. Once it restarts, we will just log in as the enterprise admin, and then we will just create a folder in the C drive called witness folder. That's it. Nothing else apart from that. So in the meantime, yes, you can see here that my Exchange server is connected. Second Exchange server, need time bx02. So let me complete the command here. And if you notice, the speed has relatively slowed down. This is mostly due to resource optimization levels. Now, if I open the settings, I might see 4 or 8 GB here. You see 8 GB. That is the total amount of RAM I've given this computer. Now you can see that I have both of these two servers here, Nita MBX01 and Nita MBX02. So that means that I have two Exchange servers. Now, let's now start completing the scenario as we were deciding earlier. So I'll first log in. And oh yeah, it is not .com, it is .local. So let me quickly make that small correction there. And once the user profile loads up, it's a very simple task. We'll just create a folder on the C drive. That's it. We're not doing anything else. File Explorer, this PC, local drive, local disk C, a new folder called witness files. Now I'm just copying this name like this here, or I'll just right click witness files, and generally you can copy the path or you could just copy this path here, but it is just basically C:/witness files. So we are good with this. Now let's go to Nita MBXS01. Here I'll go to the browser. I'm using Edge. Remember, it's a personal choice. You can even use Firefox if you want to, Google Chrome, Firefox, but I would recommend using Edge or Google Chrome, not Firefox, because Firefox again takes too many resources. And you can see that now that I have so many machines running here, it is just going to create a little bit of a delay or lag for me. You can see this. And this is nothing to be worried about. It is just a small glitch because VMware has too many things running at this moment. It's not a problem. So if not on this one, I can just go back to my Nita MBXS02, because either way, I'm going to go to the same place. So it doesn't matter where I go. Remember, this can happen to you. That is one of the reasons why I'm like, it's okay, it can happen. So this is my Edge browser on Nita MBXS02. In your case, if the Edge opens on Nita MBXS01, you can just continue. But if it doesn't, in case it doesn't, you can do this method as well. All right. Let me open a new in private tab. HTTPS Nita MBXS01 dot NetSoft Academy .local/ECP/. Now I'm just waiting. Oh, it's just connecting to Bing. Nothing serious. Right, I'm waiting for my ECP to load up. Advanced, continue. I'm here. NetSoft Academy / administrator and password 1350. Now it will again ask me to select the time zone, and you can see this. This is also a thing when you have multiple Exchange servers. So you have to be super careful about this. Now the only solution for this is you restart your Nita MBXS01. Or there's one more thing that you can do. There is one more thing you can do. And this is as a trial, you should do this. You navigate to Nita mbxs02.netsoft academy .local/ecp/. So this is on the local server right here. So this is on Nita mbxs002. So I can just log in as NetSoft Academy /administrator and password 1350. And you can see this again. This is just a runtime error. It isn't something that we did or anything else. So you need to wait a small period of time for this entire thing to work. So I'll just do a few things. First, I'll just restart my Exchange server 1, because it could just be a little bit of a execution problem there. And then we will try again in a minute. And now after I restarted the server, you can see that I'm able to move forward. I've logged in. I'm able to move forward. It was just a quick resource problem. That was it. Just I did not have adequate resources to be allocated the way that I allocated. It's not a big problem. It happens once in a while. It's not a problem. Now, once we are here on the Exchange Admin Center, I'll now navigate to the server section. Under this, first I'll click on Database Availability Groups and I'll click on New. So once I do this, I'll be asked to give this a name. So I'm going to give it a name, Nita DAG, Database Availability Group. Now this will ask me for my witness server. So Nita mbxs03.netsoft academy.local and the witness directory C:// witness files. And I just click on save. Now remember, the reason why I domain joined the server was because so that I would be able to communicate easily enough. Because all of these are domain joined machines and they can all communicate with each other through the domain controller. And that makes life a little bit easier. So I'll wait for this process to complete. This will take a few minutes though. And you'll see a warning. It will say, okay, this is here. Just click on OK, but it will be created here. You can see that it has been created. Now comes the next important part. So right here, you have this option called Manage DAG Membership. Right before the refresh, Manage DAG Membership. Click on that. I'm zooming out a little bit so that you can see what exactly am I talking about. Okay. So now I can add or remove my member servers. So I'm going to add my member servers. So I'm going to add both. I'm going to select both and add both of them, Nita mbxs01 and mbxs02, and click on save. Now, remember, this will take a few tries because it has to deploy the failover clustering in the background, and that could not work if your domain controller is not active. So make sure that all of your machines are active for this one little bit of time, and you will have to wait. It will take a few minutes. If you see an error, which even I'll see in a second, I'll show you what exactly to do to fix that error as well. Now, this is the error that I was talking about, that you might have this kind of error. There's nothing to worry about. Just click on close and click on save again. Because most of the work was done earlier, the first time around, it will just validate the parameters and it will update. You will not have that much of a problem on this one here. And you can see It's completed successfully. And now this is your database availability group. So the idea behind the database availability group is that it makes sure that you have a failover cluster. So if one server goes down, the other one automatically takes up the load and helps you with the work management. Now, this is the end of the scenario here. We are not worried about sending emails or anything, but in case you want to see email flow, all you can do is so you can just go to Outlook on the web browser itself, click on new, and since there is no other user, you will send an email to yourself here. I know seems kind of contradictory and against the point, but this is a test email. So we just want to ensure that it is doing the work properly. And we want to ensure that mail flow is working as planned. So this is just a test email, right? And you can see that the mail left. Now it will circulate between the two email and the Exchange servers that we have. And even though we send it to the administrator, you can see that it took a little bit of time to show up, and it is here. And this is the email. And that is the end of the scenario with even email functionality working as planned. Thank you.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftakademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.